One of the most annoying feelings is when you have a stuffy nose. Whether you have allergies or a cold, having a stuffy nose just sucks. But luckily for you guys, I have a simple trick that can instantly get rid of a stuffy nose. So after you guys try this trick, you're gonna feel so much better and you're actually gonna be able to breathe through your nose again. So this trick is actually 3 different parts. And if you want it to work really well, you have to do all 3. So if you have things like congestion, allergies, or asthma, these 3 things can help you feel much better. So the first thing you need to do is to use a nasal spray. So this nasal spray, you'll spray it in each nostril, and this will help open up each nostril, at least for a little bit of time. If you don't have a nasal spray at home, or you just don't want to put anything up your nose, you could skip this step, but it just won't work as well. This part is really important because you want each nostril to at least be open for a short period of time. Each of your nostrils works individually. So you might notice that if you block one of your nostrils with your thumb, and then you switch over and you block the other one, that one is working a lot better than the other. Well, that's because one of your nostrils will always be dominant over the other. And this dominance will switch every 50 to 90 minutes or so. So if you ever notice that one of your nostrils is working really good at some part of the day, and then later on in the day, your other nostril is working really good, that's why. But for this exercise to work, you want both of those nostrils to at least be a little open. Step number 2 is a little exercise I have. So this exercise is a little weird, but it works really well. And this is really gonna help you start breathing through your nose again. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. So the first thing you have to do is to take a quick breath through your nose, kind of like that. And then you're gonna hold your breath. So you're gonna hold your nose shut and you're gonna hold your mouth shut to make sure you don't breathe, kind of like this. And the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna start bobbing your head back and forth while you're holding your breath. So it's gonna look something like this. I told you it looks weird, right? So you're actually gonna keep bobbing your head back and forth until you cannot hold your breath any longer. And then when you have to take a breath, you use your nose instead of your mouth. So you take a big, deep breath through your nose, and then you repeat. You hold your breath again, you bob your head back and forth again, and you keep doing it. And you don't really need to do this that long. You only need to do this full exercise about 3 to 6 times. But what you're gonna notice after is your nose is really gonna open up and you're gonna really be able to breathe through your nose again. This works really well for a couple of reasons. The first is you're building up more carbon dioxide or CO2 in your body. Because anytime we're holding our breath, that's what our body's doing. Our body is building up more and more CO2. And when we eventually breathe out, we're releasing that carbon dioxide. And when we have more and more CO2 building up in our body reacts by opening up our nasal passages. And the second reason that this works so well is that it's increasing the circulation to our head and our nose area. And that's actually why we're bobbing our head back and forth to increase more and more circulation. Now the last step, and this is probably the most important step, is to keep breathing through your nose now and to not breathe through your mouth. So if you're doing this right before bed, a really good thing you can do is to use mouth tape. This is basically a tape you put over your mouth to help keep your mouth shut to encourage you to breathe through your nose while you're sleeping. Once your nose is open, you have to keep breathing through your nose to keep it open. If you switch over to breathing through your mouth again, your nose is gonna close again, and now you're gonna have a stuffy nose all over again. If you start looking into getting a mouth tape, I would strongly suggest you look for one that has a little slit in the middle of it. This will allow you to still breathe through your mouth if you absolutely have to. So it's kind of like resisting your lips from opening, but if you really have to breathe through your mouth, you can still open your lips and breathe through your mouth. Now, why does this work, and why are all of these steps so important? Well, the reason this works so well is because our brain has these breathing receptors. And basically what we're doing when we do these steps is we're telling our breathing receptors to start opening up our nasal passages and opening up our nose so we can start breathing normally again. So one of these breathing receptors in our brain actually checks the volume of how much air is going in and out of our lungs. Now, when we're a mouth breather, this volume of air going in and out of our lungs is going to be a lot higher than normal. And the reason is when we breathe through our mouth, we take a lot quicker and a lot shorter breaths. In doing so, we're releasing a lot more CO2 or carbon dioxide. Over time, if we keep this up, our body realizes we're releasing way too much carbon dioxide, and it wants to preserve how much carbon dioxide is in our body. So what it does is it starts blocking our nasal passages and starts blocking our nose so that no more air can get out of our nose, so that we cannot release as much carbon dioxide. But the problem is we're still breathing through our mouth. So we're still gonna be releasing more and more carbon dioxide. So it's kind of like a never-ending cycle where our nose is gonna constantly be stuffy and we're still gonna be breathing through our mouth, and we're not going to be able to breathe through our nose. Now, when we follow these steps, we're increasing the carbon dioxide in our body, and we're telling our brain to start opening up our nose, and we're also increasing the circulation in our nose so that we can start breathing normally through our nose again. And this is why it's so important to stick with breathing through your nose after this exercise is done. Because when we breathe through our nose, our body has this normal volume exchange of air. And also when we're breathing through our nose, our oxygen levels and our carbon dioxide levels are at a normal level, and our blood pH is at a normal level, and our breathing is going to be normal again. And also when we start breathing through our nose more and more, it's going to help prevent us from getting sick more and more. And the reason is our nose has a lot of anatomy in it. It has these hairs, it has this mucus, it has these paranasal sinuses, and all of these things are combining to help filter out our air. It helps filter out viruses and bacteria from getting into our lungs, and it also releases nitric oxide every time we breathe through our nose. So nitric oxide is actually both a vasodilator and an antibacterial. So it being a vasodilator, it helps open up all our blood vessels, and including the blood vessels that are in our lungs, and this promotes better gas exchange and makes our lungs work more efficiently. And also the antibacterial part can help fight off more infections, and also again this protects our whole upper airway and our body from getting sick. Also when we breathe through our nose, this warms up and humidifies the air before it enters our lungs. Now this is really important because when we breathe through our mouth, we don't get any of these benefits. Instead, we have this cold, dry air that's entering our lungs. And when we have this cold, dry air going from our mouth to our lungs, it causes more inflammation in our lungs, and it also causes our allergies to act up more. This is why it's so important to breathe through your nose. And this is also why it's so important if you have a stuffy nose to try to open it up again. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked that video, and if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel below. I will see you in the next video.